gets me every time.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is your host, Jason Downard, and I'm the co-host of Freefromhate's podcast. For some of you that know what I've been talking about and everything has to do with racism and who I was. I just wanted to touch bases on some things and what's coming up and everything else, and kind of talk about my story and, go in a little bit more details about my situations and what chose me to go down the movement that I went down in the road and whatnot. So for some of you guys that's been in tune to what I've been doing, I'm talking out about hate and racism in the world today in the United States and just all around the world. I want to touch bases on some things. So as me, like I said, my name is Jason. I'm a former neo-Nazi skinhead out of the Portland, Oregon area. And I got recruited into the movement when I went to prison at the age of 19 due to some crimes that I committed on the streets. And, how I got recruited in was, when you're in prison, it's every race for itself. You stick with your own people, and that's just the way it is. And that's just how society is on the inside of the prison system. And so, the skinheads came along, pulled me up and showed me the way and showed me how, being white was right. And, they always talk about how other people, would say, black pride it's okay for them to say that. Mexican pride, it's okay for them to say that. But, when it comes to a white person, when they say white pride, it's considered racist. And so that's kind of one of our recruiting tools. We would show people that and tell people, and that's what, and they started to think, well, why can they say all that, but they're not considered racist? I carried this hatred, that I was taught for many, many years. I spent 9 years in the movement and 9 years in and out of the prison system too. And every time I went to prison, my violence got even more and more when I came to the streets. I would beat up minorities, Jews. It didn't matter if you weren't white. At that time, I never felt guilty of the crimes that I was committing. I tried to figure out their motives now and stuff like that. And it's hard for me now because every person and their story is different. Like me, how I got recruited in was, I went to prison and I was filling these potholes, these voids that I was never had and stuff. And so a lot of it had to do with me not having my parents, me growing up in foster care and stuff like that, and being kicked out of school, fighting a lot. And so I had this anger built inside of me. I lashed out later on in my years and ended up going to prison. And so a lot of these people that are in these movements are very lost and don't know themselves, and they never had a chance in life and stuff. And so there's us that are formers that are giving back, and we're trying to help these people if they want out, but also we actively talk to members and try to get them to change their ways and stuff. Like I was just in DC when they had the riot, and I didn't get the chance to talk to some of the neo-Nazis, but I got the chance to talk to the Antifa and stuff and try to get to what their motive was, and they're like, well, we're against racism. And I told them, I says, well, I'm against racism too, but you can't fight hate with hate. And that's what a lot of this Antifa is doing, is fighting hate with hate, and they're causing just as much violence as the neo-Nazis. And so, Antifa is considered a hate group too. And the biggest thing in life and the way the world runs around, if there's more love and peace inside the world today, people get along. People people feed off of love, so the whole understanding to hate somebody else's color, it's a little ridiculous, and I think back about my experiences and the harm that I've caused people, and it was pretty stupid and selfish of me to commit the acts of the violence that I did. And there's no excuse, I can't go back and change my lifestyle and walk down a different road. But today I've changed 2 years ago and changed my life around for the better. And now I give back and help inside the community and stuff, I still have things that haunt me to this day, and that I probably will never forgive myself for when I was involved in the neo-Nazi movement, because the tremendous violence that I've caused, and how much I would go to kill for my own race when I was involved. It's pretty stupid and selfish to think about now, and how I would even go down that route that I did, and how much violence that I put out there and stuff, Sorry, sometimes it's still hard to talk about these situations and stuff. And make a long story short, after a while, I started to get tired of the movement. But not only that, part of it was I had a nephew that's half black. That's a big change that played a big role in my factor, how to help me change my lifestyle around. But got to know people of other colors and stuff when I went to treatment, and I was away from everybody that was involved in the movement. I wasn't on the streets. I wasn't running around committing crimes. I wasn't in and out of jail. I wasn't around other criminals and stuff. I went to treatment and began to get to know myself and unload everything and just talk about what I experienced throughout my years to other people, like, counselors and stuff like that. And I started to realize that, me hating other people because of the color of the skin wasn't really who I was. I think a lot of this hatred that I was pushing out towards other people was the hatred I had towards not having my parents growing up. I was raised in foster care my whole entire life, and so I never met my mom. I know my dad, but my dad never raised me, due to his drug addiction and stuff like that. So things were kind of rough for me growing up. So that, I chose these different lifestyles, and that's what happened, and how I ended up down those roads and causing harm to society and stuff. Committed a lot of crimes and hurt a lot of people, and now I try to give back to the community, but also help other people out of these lifestyles that are willing and that want help, because these organizations are very hard to get out of. And so there's a lot of us that are formers that are actually out there helping people leave these hate groups and trying to make somewhat of a difference in the community all across the world. And so there's people that take chances on us, and I believe in second chances, and that's the way I got a second chance to actually change my life around and get to know myself, and now I'm giving back to the community, and I feel good about the things that I'm doing. I have a full-time job, got a family, got friends now, people can trust me, these things feel great, and finally off parole. I've been out of the movement for 2 years now, and ever since I've been out, I've been giving back. Nothing feels better than what I'm doing. Been doing my own podcast, starting out with all this stuff. So, I like for people that are tuning in to this to keep tuning in, because I'm going to be interviewing other people that are reformers and other people of culture that's dealt with racism or hate in their life, or and just talk about what's going on in the world today. So, like I said, if you support us, I'm on Podbean, so I'm on iTunes, Google Play, I got my stuff up everywhere. So but stay tuned. This is your host, Jason Downard from Freefromhate's podcast. Thank you. You guys have a good night.
Give me every time.